Hello viewers, Super GT here. This week on Gran Turismo Daily Races we have Monza, the cathedral of chaos within the motorsport realm. We also have a new update, 1.15, which has brought in some changes, and noticeably some changes to some of the controllers, or the wheels should I say, because when I jumped on here I noticed I had basically zero force feedback. And even after turning up the force feedback to a dangerously high amount, 100% in fact, I still found it was actually very weak. So this would be something I would have to adjust to. No strength in my wheel, kind of making it useless. And with this I set a 351 around Monza. Turns out that actually they are aware of this issue and it will be fixed soon enough. Let's hope. Alright, let's jump into the first race. Monza. What can we say about Monza? Apart from absolute mayhem at turn 1. Are we going to see that on this occasion? I mean, obviously we are. We all know that. We all know that. Anyone who's watched this channel long enough will understand that turn 1 Monza is the centre of all carnage in the universe, and there's already kicked off, these two going at it, wiping each other out. Been barely 20 seconds into proceedings and already people are battering each other into another dimension. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so we move up 2 positions. I felt like, you know what, with our 3 minutes 51 in qualifying, it's about 2 minutes off the pace. Therefore, we'll be starting at the back. Nice little switcheroo. It's a semi-switcheroo. It wasn't a full-on switcheroo, that one on the Aston Martin. Going to go up the inside and take 12th place off of his hands. Hopefully he doesn't go for a repass here into Les Moto, and he doesn't. Crazy. Alright, so it was on lap 2 into the first corner. This next gangle of cars having a nice little battle. How about into the next chicane? I went up the inside of this guy, right? And then there was contact. Then there was a corner cut, and then no one cared, and then the world just continued as it was basically, and I'm still in 12th. See if we can try to pass one of them, Stevie Wonder GT, and it is any wonder that he's actually managing to drive around this track, but he's doing a good job without any visibility. Fair play to him. Now here showcases the current superiority of the Toyota Supra, the car that I'm using, and in the recent update 1.15 some of the cars were changed. Something else that seems to have changed is they've implemented the sun to blind us all as we head down towards the final corner. So trying to spot my braking point was fairly difficult here, staring into the brightest abyss known to man. I guess it was like the opposite of the Shadow Realm as we approach the final corner there. So that was kind of annoying. Anyway, we got past Stevie Wonder, courtesy of his slipstream. Thank you very much, Stevie, for that. On the brakes into turn 1. Don't miss your braking point here. And that's exactly what we've done. No, that's exactly what we haven't done. Double negative there, I guess. Okay, up behind Johnny the Wick, making a mistake on the second chicane. The Della Roger chicane, for those who want to know or care. And we go again. Didn't quite pay off this time. Subaru there with a late defence. We have to remain in 10th for now. Okay. But then into the final corner, Parabolica. A very late glistening of the sun seems to have put off the Subaru driver. And he drives off the circuit. And as I was kind of just alluding to, the Toyota Supra is now the dominant car, it seems, at least for straight line speed. It is very, very quick indeed, and it kind of takes over from the Beetle and the WRX at the moment. Jay there making a mistake on the exit of the first chicane, and can we now catch up with Tanny Will to overtake him for 7th? The answer is no. We finish 8th. And what I felt like doing on the interim before the next race is checking out the #1 time. VQS Haku, very, very quick guy, and he pretty much nailed this lap. And it's really a case of absolutely maximising the track limits, as you can see. And in the Supra, of course. See there, just rolling through the Ascara chicane like it's not even there. So now my main job really is to try and shave off 2 minutes. I shaved off 2 minutes from the 351. Absolutely incredible driver development like you've never seen before. This is just unreal progress in my racing career. And it was on the first chicane here. Look at that. Nice line, nice exit, and definitely quicker. We go and do a 47.6, solid improvement. Then we go to a 46.9. Then I felt like this was basically my limit. I seemed to be stuck on this sort of lap time heading into Della Roger. It was really difficult to spot my braking point. I don't know if anyone else is having this problem. When it was sunny in particular, I just could not see my braking markers in the shadows. Then setting a 47.2, another 47.2, 46.9, and then a 47.0. So I was consistent around the high 46, low 47 mark, but I just couldn't seem to beat the time. But anyway, this slight improvement from a 351 down to a 146 put us third position on the grid for this one. Definitely a bit better than 14th, 15th, 16th. So let's see what we can do here up against GTA 413. Not sure what year that game will come out, but I would presume that we're a couple of thousand years away from GTA 413, especially given that GTA 5 was released 9 years ago, so they're taking quite a long time to release each one. So 413th GTA might be a couple of millennia away. Hopefully it has some good features and the online works, but I won't be around to see it, which is a shame. Anyway, this guy, he set out his stall quite early, and it was very much a defensive stall, and it was quite difficult therefore to try to get past him. The leader was already pulling away, and this was very frustrating, as I felt like maybe we could have won this race if we worked together, but working together was not on the defensive stall. So into turn one, watch this Portuguese driver on the outside make an absolute mockery of the pair of us. Look at that around the outside, and yeah, double overtake. Lovely stuff from him. Shocking stuff from myself in GTA 413. But we're going to try and go for the repass here around Curva Grande. Is it quite going to work? Maybe. I'm on the inside of GTA, but then not on the inside into the corner. So I'm going to have to settle down here. And this is where the race this is where second place disappears from us, because he makes a mistake there, defends it. And then because he had to defend it, he made a mistake on the exit, then defended this corner. And then, yeah, in the course of maybe 2-3 corners there, guy in second has just pulled away, and then that's that. So it's kind of the frustration of being stuck behind someone who's defending every corner. But there you go, it happened. So I felt like, you know what, I'm just going to go full send here. Do or die move, let's go for it. Up into Ascari, over the bumps. And I kind of get the job done, but then I just don't get the line quite right on the exit. Drive myself over the curb, the AstroTurf, and the extra tarmac. Lose 2 positions. So I went for it, at least. It's better than just doing nothing. Might as well go for it, Why not? In towards Parabolica. Luckily the sun has gone behind the clouds, so it's not blinding us. And it was at this point here, the Frenchman in the Subaru making a mistake a little bit wide out of Lesmo 2. Squirming slightly as he rejoins, but keeps the car under control. But loses the position. I'm back into 4th, and it was at the end of lap 4, beginning of lap 5, that I was now setting the fastest lap of the race, almost a 10th away. And that's kind of annoying, because I felt like, well, I do have the pace to match the race leader, but I just could not get past this guy. And I tried it here, went way too deep, and then cut back, trying to replicate the Verstappen-Hamilton incident. It didn't quite pay off though. I go down to 8th position. Absolutely shocking. How about a 6th place finish, you ask? Well, there was a chance of it, because this German driver drove very wide, lost momentum. Then I was up against this Swedish driver who covered the inside. So I felt like, okay, this is going to be a difficult pass around the outside at Parabolica. It's possible, not going to be easy. Let's see what we can do. Late on the brakes, around the outside, get on the power as early as possible. And would you believe it? Job done. Absolutely sensational stuff. So that race, I probably should have finished second really, but I screwed it up and finished sixth, just to prove that it is me. For the next one, starting second, so the Frenchman who won that last one, he kind of got bored of no competition, and it was me up against, you know, our good friend GTA 413 once again. And I felt like, okay, here we go. I'm going to be a bit more calm this time. I was a bit too aggressive too soon, and it is kind of annoying coming up against a very defensive driver, but there you go, they're allowed to do it. It is just frustrating. Now into the second chicane, the Della Roger, which I mentioned earlier. You remember I called it the Della Roger because that's what it's called. Now this is where he makes the mistake. Lesmo 1 goes in a bit too hot and comes out too hot, and what that means is he's on the gravel, and that means loss of speed and loss of position. So I move up into the lead, and then he does the same mistake on the exit of the second Lesmo and loses plenty of ground. And that was that race pretty much done, as we come across the line to claim a victory at long last. We finally won a race, good to see. But of course, the key question you're all asking right now is, what would Scott Speed make of all of this? The distinct lack of force feedback, and actually quite a couple of messages here as we enter the American lobby, so always good to see some messages when I jump into the lobby, so thank you very much guys. It's always really cool to see that, and just a big thank you to all the support on the channel, which is always really cool to see, so thank you. But yeah, Scott Speed, here we are starting 14th. Let's see what the American thinks of all of this. The best driver to ever do it, quite frankly, Scott Speed, aka Scott Jeg, otherwise known as the GOAT really. It's undisputed. I don't think anyone who really has a valid opinion would dispute that Scott Speed, aka Scott Jeg, is basically the best driver on the planet and that will ever live. So what an absolute gangster this guy is. So let's see what he makes of this. Already gaining 2 positions at the start of this race, and it's always quite difficult to gain a lot of positions here at Monza, because I feel like there becomes a lot of field spread quite often. So the leaders will just be able to get away because a lot of the guys in the midfield will be fighting a lot. So it's quite difficult to fight through to the front. But we'll do our best. We'll do our jolly best, shall we? Even the GOAT can't always win every race. That's not possible or realistic, really. So let's not expect a win, not in 5 laps. I mean, he is a GOAT, but he's not, that goaty. Into Parabolica. Luckily, the sun again behind the cloud, so not getting blinded or dazzled as we enter the braking zone for that corner, which is fantastic. It's always good to not get dazzled by bright lights, isn't it? That's my personal preference anyway. Into the first corner, up behind Sam, who then just decides, you know what, I don't really fancy driving on the tarmac anymore. I'll just take a trip into the gravel and just have a spin, because you know what, why not? To think outside the box, do something a little bit different. And this guy, Nightdown, had a bit of a moment, and oh my goodness, look how close that was. I am very thankful for ghosting on this fateful day, and that was a mere couple of milliseconds away from absolute carnage and death. But Scott Speed, he's got it covered. No sweat. It's all fine. Coming through Parabolica. That's not Parabolica, that's Ascari. Coming up to Parabolica now. The sun looks like it's blinding us once again. Up behind the Brazilian here in the Ferrari Supra. Love to see it. Late on the brakes, looking for the 100 board. There it is. Head towards the apex early, cover it off, and getting the move done. And that's 8th position. Now in the slipstream of Paul. I'm going to tuck right in behind him. And then the Brazilian driver just had a really good run on me here. So I had to defend it to the inside just to make sure he couldn't go for that pass. And on the exit of the chicane. Paul not getting the best of exits. He committed a little bit too hard into turn 1. Then quite surprisingly, he defended by moving left, and that would be the inside for the Della Roggia, but it's not the inside for Curva Grande, so I had a slightly shorter run through here, and that's what allowed me to gain 6th position, would you believe, halfway into this race, in 6th, and 2.8 seconds away from Sabrina in 5th. So I suppose that is my main objective now, and this is what I was talking about with the field spread. So the gaps have opened up quite a lot here because of all of the fighting, the various world wars that have occurred during this race, as they always do around Monza. Now this is where I seem to gain a lot of time on the brakes, just after the 150 board into turn 1, over the curb. Remembering Haku's lap with the track limits, you can actually get away with quite a lot of, well, what looks like corner cutting, but technically it's not because the game decides that it's not. Through here, over the curbs, boom, love it. We've gained a second on this lap already. Fantastic. Into Lesmo 1. Look for that tarmac on the right there. That's kind of like a rough acceleration point. That should see you out of that turn quite nicely. This one I always struggle with, to be fair. I do think you want to get your inside wheels up on that curb, get a better angle through that turn. Into Parabolica, it looks like Sabrina went wide, getting dazzled by the sun, going into the final corner with 1 lap left to go. Can Scott Chegg achieve an absolutely unfathomable 5th position, setting the fastest lap of the race, going from perhaps 14th to 5th, 14th to 6th so far in a 5-lap race? Not too bad, but I suppose there is one more position on the cards. We've got to lay down the pressure on Sabrina here and pick the spot to go for the move. We're definitely not close enough to go for the move into Della Roggia, but what we can do is tuck into the slipstream and just try to get a slight bit closer. On the brakes, after the 150 board, there is a little bit of grass, like mud track on the right. It's very hard to see, as I mentioned earlier in the video. When the sun comes out on this race, through the shadows, it's actually really difficult to spot some of the braking points, and that's something I'm struggling with. Sabrina here, struggling with keeping the car under control. Drifting it, true Ken Block style through Lesmo 1. A little bit wide we go on the exit of 2. We're fully into the slipstream now. This will give us a chance in the uphill section towards the Ascari as we go under the old banking, looking for the 150 board, looking for the 100 board, braking just before it, over the curbs and up into 5th position, but it's not over yet because we still have one more corner remaining and the sun to welcome us in. Actually the sun's gone behind the cloud again. Into the final corner, went to the inside, forced Sabrina to the outside and park it on the apex. Don't do anything too silly, don't overshoot the corner, and then boom, quite simply fantastic offense and then a bit of defense at the end there, and we come through to finish in P5. So Scott Speed there, Scott Chegg, with a rather commendable result from the back of the pack. And you know what, even with these issues with the force feedback and everything, there was some nice positivity in the chat, which was really nice to see, and we're going to end that one on a nice positive note. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Get yourself subbed if you did, if you're new to the channel, and I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.